What does the media do when there's a story that may make some people uncomfortable? Chances are they just won't cover it. Hi, thanks for watching. So today I want to talk about media coverage, especially when it comes down to stories that some people find questionable, that some people may find uncomfortable. This will happen quite a bit. In fact, I've seen it happen recently a number of times, and that's why I decided to make a video about this. A couple of weeks ago, the Dalai Lama said something that many people may consider to be right-wing. And I thought, well, this is going to be really interesting. I wonder how they're going to cover this in the news. Well, they didn't. They chose to ignore the story altogether. Well, that was probably just a one-off thing, right? Well, last Friday, there were two stories that came out. Both of them I found very interesting, and both of them not really covered in the mainstream media. So right off the bat, I want to say that the subjects of these stories, I'm not talking about them to talk about the subjects. I'm using them as examples of the media ignoring a story, okay? I know that it's easy to get bogged down in the details of a story. That's not what I'm trying to do. These are just examples. The first of which, there was a shooting last week. One of way too many shootings, right? Any shooting is too many in my book. But we had a mass shooting last Friday in Maryland. This was at a Rite Aid distribution center. The first thing that I heard about it was that the shooter was female. And I thought to myself, well, that's interesting. You know, you don't hear about too many female shooters. So I looked into the story. The shooter was born a woman and also identified as a male, as a transgender female to male. And I thought, well, that's really interesting. I've never heard of that, someone with those characteristics committing a crime like this. But once that information got out there, the story just seemed to get dropped. It was just dropped across the board. This is a mass shooting that we are not going to cover, right? That's what the media said. We're just done with this story. And as an example, I live in Portland. We have 4 local news outlets, 4 local TV stations. We have KGW, Channel 8, the NBC affiliate. And if you go on their website and you look up Maryland shooter, you'll find references to she, woman, but no references at all to being trans. The same thing with K2, the ABC affiliate here in Portland. The same thing with Coin 6, the CBS affiliate. The same thing with Fox 12, the Fox affiliate. All of them on their website have the story and have the story of the shooter being a female. Now, is it important, you know, how this person identified their gender? Well, it was probably important to them. But I thought it was interesting just because it was so unusual, right? It would be the same thing. I haven't ever heard of an Amish person, you know, committing a mass shooting. And if I heard that, that would be interesting because it's unusual. It's the man bites dog. If a dog bites a man, well, that's what we would expect. But if a man bit a dog, that's unusual. That's what makes it a story. And I thought that this would be a story that would be covered, but it has not been covered at all in the media. In fact, very few outlets are reporting on the gender identity of the shooter. I just find that interesting. It's interesting what they choose to promote as a story that's important for you to hear about and what is not important for you to hear about. Another story that came out last Friday was from Yale University. You've heard of them, right? And they published a study about the number of undocumented immigrants in the United States, the number of illegal immigrants in the United States. And based on their math and the new calculations, according to this study, the numbers are significantly higher than the 11 million that's the generally accepted number. Now, according to the study, the number of undocumented immigrants in the United States with a 95% certainty is between, say, 16 and 30 million people. And that's a lot different than the 11 million that we hear so much. So you would think that this is a big deal. We've heard a lot about immigration this year. It's been a major topic on the news. And yet this study came out last Friday, and so far none of the major networks are covering this. Many conservative outlets have covered the story, but as far as mainstream liberal outlets, none have covered it. The Los Angeles Times was the only paper and the only big liberal paper that I found that covered this story. I'm not bringing up these examples to make a point about those things. I'm not talking about immigration today. I'm not talking about transgendered people today. These are just examples of what the media is choosing to decide what is a story and what isn't a story. And it seems to me that if there is a story that would make a lot of people feel uncomfortable, they choose not to cover that story at all. I think the news should give us the news without regard to how it may upset someone. But that's just me. Let me know your thoughts on this in the comments. Peace.